Make you know they fear nobody. Make you know the man your post watching.
You can have a life-changing experience with God in our Sunday services.
You alone. Make you to watch your steps on the road. Try to learn to be a player. And make sure the game not go play never. And don't let the paper make it deceive you. Make you to think say you be better than everybody. Hey, hey. God see because they bless we. Hey. He be in the only. Hey. Get in the kappa, into what's a real enough. I know I said that be give it to Baba. All the praise for Baba. Give it to Baba. Hey, I carry baby, how free and your journey, okay, Baba. Give it to Baba. All the praise for Baba. Give it to Baba. My brand no be joke, life no be easy. It's a woman by our can season. Don't be greedy, slow the speeding. Hey, I can't call bread now, baby. Cause your slow motion is better than no motion. Do something, take a notion, eh? Cause life.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, our listeners. This is RadioLMOnline.com.
Live your life, the work will make you happy. I had to ask enough, I won't watching. This life be you alone. Make you to watch your steps on the road. Try to learn to be a player. And make sure the game not.
A good evening, good afternoon, good morning, because we know we have listeners across the world. Some of them are in the evening, others in the morning, and others in the afternoon. We just don't want to be biased.
Maybe in the only try to learn to be a player and make sure the game not go play never. And don't let the paper make it deceive you.
My name is Andreas Kamasan. Welcome to the maiden edition of Diagnosis. This is the long-awaited environmental program that has been airing advertising for some time now.
Give it to Baba. All the praise for Baba. Give it to Baba.
Sorry for the late start of the program. It was due to some technical challenges. We were supposed to have started by 4, but we are now some 15 or 16 minutes after 4. Sorry for the late start.
Make sure the game not go play never. And don't let the paper make it deceive you. Make you to think say you be better than everybody. Hey, hey. God see because they bless we. Hey. He be in the only. Hey. Get in the kappa, into what's a real enough. I know I said that be give it to Baba. All the praise for Baba. Give it to Baba.
As you know, this program is supposed to tell you things that you haven't heard of before. Just like I was telling you, or the jingle always tells you, you are paid in China and other places to urinate, but here in Ghana you have to pay in order to have the chance to urinate. We have a very interesting panelist this afternoon who will be telling you why you have to pay here in Ghana to urinate, but when you go to other places like China, they pay you to urinate. Plus some other interesting things that you haven't heard before. Just stay with us. You can just go to Google Play Store, download our app. It's a hybrid one. It contains both the TV, radio. We have magazine also there. Just go to Google Play Store, download Radio LM app, and then you click on whichever you feel like tuning to, whether TV, radio. But for now we are on radio, so you can tune to radio and listen to us. Or if you already have tuning app on your phone, just search for Radio LM and you will find us.
Give it to Baba. All the praise for Baba. Give it to Baba. Hey, I carry baby, how free and your journey, okay, Baba. Give it to Baba. All the praise. Try to learn to be a player and make sure the game not go play never. And don't let the paper make it deceive you. Make you to think say you be better than everybody. Hey, hey. God see because they bless we. Hey. He be in the only. Hey. Get in the kappa, into what's a real enough. I know I said that be give it to Baba. All the praise for Baba. Give it to Baba.
Guess who we have in the studios today to talk to? We have Mr. Kwashie Darkudzi of Darsfoundation. He's a co-founder of Darsfoundation. Darsfoundation is an agriculture organization. They produce a lot of vegetable, organic food stuff. That's why they do. They are not into inorganic foods or GMO foods. He's here today to tell us why it is important to go back to organic food production. He will also tell us why you need to value your urine, or he will tell us some values that or some importance of urine, whether it is healthy for you to drink your own urine. The question is if you are not drinking or you are not taking it urine products already, urine of other people already. If you keep buying medicines or drugs that are manufactured outside, surely you are taking in urine of other people. So what's difficult about taking your own urine? The last time I met him, he was drinking a urine that was stored or that had been stored for 3 months. Can you imagine that? Will you be able to do that? Drink urine that had been stored for 3 months? He will be telling us more about that. So just stay with us very soon. I will be introducing my guest, Mr. Kwashie Darkudzi, so that we start the discussion here on Diagnosis on RadioLMOnline.com.
Make you think, say you be better than everybody. Hey, hey. God see because they bless me. Hey, we be in the only. Hey. Get in the kappa, into what's a real no fun now. I said, give it to Baba. All the praise for Baba. Give it to Baba. I can't be afraid, and you're just Baba. Give it to Baba. All the praise for Baba. Give it to Baba. My brand no be joke, life no be easy. It's a woman by our train with season. Don't be greedy, slow the speeding. Hey, I can't call bread now, baby. Cause your slow motion is better than no motion. Do something, take a notion, eh. Cause life be used to leave it, start be lead slaying. So do what you can do, choose that way and struggle. And if it be for you, true hard work and determination, give it to Baba. All the praise for Baba. Give it to Baba. I can't be afraid, and you're just Baba. Give it to Baba. All the praise for Baba. Give it to Baba. Give it to Baba. I can't be afraid, and you're just Baba. Give it to Baba. All the praise for Baba. Give it to Baba.
Yes, Diagnosis on RadioLMOnline.com. This is the Median edition. As I told you, I have Mr. Kwashie Darkudzi, who is the co-founder of Darsfoundation, here in the studios. He'll be telling us a lot of things, and I bet you we'll be talking a lot of things, most of which you haven't heard before, as the jingle keeps telling you. As I said, we are sorry for the late start of the program, but Mr. Kwashie Darkudzi is here already. Let me just introduce him so that we we go into the discussions. Mr. Kwashie Darkudzi, you are welcome to Diagnosis on RadioLMOnline.com.
Good afternoon to all your audience.
Yes, this is your first time coming to the studio. Yes, first of all, tell us about Darsfoundation. What is Darsfoundation and what do you do there?
Thank you very much, and I'm honored to be here and then to really talk about Darsfoundation in agriculture. Darsfoundation is just a short name for this long name that I'm going to just repeat. Darsfield EarthCare and Farm Tech Foundation. That is the name, and we just shorten it, and it is Darsfoundation.
Okay.
Actually, Darsfoundation is a Greek environment foundation.
Okay.
And our intention is to go into the return of small-scale farming, mobilize the rural community, empower them in a way to come back into agriculture.
Okay.
Now, in our activity, we provide both technical, physical, managerial, financial means to all these people in the rural community so that they can effectively carry on their operations without any problem.
Okay.
Our programs are very diverse, and naturally we want to develop a technology that that has been, I wouldn't want to say that it has never been heard before,
okay,
but it is long been repeated, okay, not been repeated.
Okay.
So, because in the olden days, this was a technology that we're used to,
yeah,
and we were producing so much for ourselves. We could feed the system without importing anything to this country, and then export the excess that we have. Today, the story is the other way around. We import more into the country, and we cannot even feed ourselves. Okay, so Darsfoundation here is giving the rural community the ability, or mostly the community, the landowners, the ability to develop their own land into a profitable gain. Because there are a lot of chiefs, a lot of people that have several thousands of land, but do you know what they do?
No.
They just sell it to expatriate.
Okay.
The last time I read a world report about this, they said that Africa have sold land to expatriate to the size of Western Europe. Look at Western Europe, not from the then before the Russian left their communist Europe to join. Yeah. Look at that size. That's the size of land the expatriate, yes, have sold out to expatriate. Yeah. So we are giving these people the ability to develop their own land. Because we know that if they know this technology, then there's no need selling land to any other person. They just give it to us, their children, and we just do the farm that we need to do. Now, what do? We do very many things. Agri diversification program, snail farming, mushroom, grass cattle rearing, beekeeping. We also do organic fruit and vegetable farming. We do pottery, and ours is very unique. It's tropical birds we grow, and we don't do broiler, which is imported birds. Okay, they have a lot of stress surviving in our climate. So we bring, we train people in quail, birds, guinea fowls, and then the piggery. We also do agro-processing, and this time we added some technology to processing or drying of post-harvest fruits and vegetables. We teach those people how to make solar dryers, how they can construct it to fit their own kind of industry. So we teach them all this one. We also give them capacity building. We also go into, we also search for market for them. We also do forest farming, which is, that's the technology that we want to talk about today. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I see that you don't only do agriculture, but you do organic one. Why the organic and not the inorganic one that has become the order of the day?
Yes, it is very true that a lot of people are now doing agriculture because they wanted something that is fast for them. They just want to spend like 1 hour, 2 hours on their farm, and then they are off. But that is not agriculture. Because agriculture, in a way, is supposed to marry the environment to the species of animal that lives within the environment. But today, what we do is we just poison everything that we are growing food. Can you imagine the amount of chemicals that is drenched on the vegetable that you buy or on the fruit before it gets to the market? Do you know the amount of, and anything that is poured on this fruit or vegetable, if you buy it, you're automatically going to be eating the residual of these particular chemicals, because the chemicals is supposed to take at least a minimum of 2 weeks for it to break down. But can somebody harvest tomatoes and wait for 2 weeks for the chemical?
Some of us just buy it fresh,
fresh with the chemical. Yes. And so it is very difficult for you to, be talking about agriculture this way. The environment, the bees, the butterfly, the termite, which are very beneficial to agriculture, of late you can't even find them. Why? Because these chemicals has wiped them off. You can't go to the forest and find mushroom again just in the bush, or snail, because they are all gone. So I do not see that as an agric. The other one is people are destroying the forest cover for agriculture. If you think that forest is a problem to agriculture, then we should all be going to the northern part of Ghana to do farming. But we are not going to the northern part of Ghana to do the farm where the forests are not there. But we come down to the south where there's too much forest, and we are clearing the forest that we want to do farming. Whereas there are several hectares of land in the northern part of Ghana that nobody is even farming on it. Okay. Why don't we go to that place and work on that land? Because if the forest is the problem.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. From the way you talk, I guess that you have a stance against genetically modified organisms. But that we'll talk about it later in the show. But I just want to remind our listeners, wherever they are outside Ghana and within Ghana, that they are listening to the maiden edition of Diagnosis with me, Andreas Kamasa, and I'm hosting Mr. Kwashie Darkudzi, who is a co-founder of Darsfoundation. So, tell us, you said you are into organic food production. Here in Ghana, it seems we have shifted from consuming organic foods. What has become the order of the day is consumption of inorganic foods like GMO. As I was talking about, people claim the organic food production cannot meet the demands of the populace. Why do you think the way forward now is to go into organic production when evidence or documents have been shown to indicate that the population is overgrowing and we need to step up food production?
That's very correct. Now, whoever is in charge of conventional farming or in charge of genetically modified agriculture has a plan, and that is to control food supply. Okay. As a matter of fact, that very person or government is also talking about controlling the seeds for food. Okay. So, are we going to all give our stomach to a foreign government to control because he's been able to manipulate some political leaders and brought in this technology, and so everybody's going to eat? But then there's awareness. Everybody knows that there's awareness that because in the past you could eat any food which is not grown with chemical, and yet you could not even tell anybody who is sick or have birth defect or have some sickness called anemia, the shortage of red blood cells in your disease. Okay. Now, all this one was because people were eating very clean food and very fresh. But now we have brought in chemical into the food. Of course, today you could hear of cases like hydrocephalus. You could hear of cleft palates. You could hear of hole in heart. You could hear of autism. You could hear of hypertension and so many kinds of diseases, including anemia. Some people give birth to babies and the babies are almost like a tuber of yam. All because they were eating very toxic, dangerous food. But I'll tell you, I will support exactly what you have just said. Yeah. Populations will always rise, will increase. It will never decrease. Resources on this land, as long as populations will grow, it will decrease. It is our duty to make sure that whatever we have left is managed to take care of the population that are growing. What am I talking about? We know that the World Food Conference, in the year 1974, they had a conference. Yeah. At that conference, it was stated that 500 million people were faced with hunger. Okay. And of course, the developing countries, especially Africa, were said to be the highest hit. Okay. 20 years down the line, it has increased from 500 to 820. But as at 2016, it is 2.8 billion. So from 500 to 2.8 billion, we are talking about a whopping of 2.3 billion increase of people now faced with starvation. And here also we are talking half of this population a quarter of this population is in Africa. So the agriculture itself is having a challenge. The government are really not doing their work. If I said the government are not doing their work, it's because government need to invest in agriculture. Yeah. But they all pay lip service. I used to remember that then sometimes you see these foreign donors, they come into our system. They bring money as grant, as donation to support the government policy. Yep. But the same foreign government tells our government that, you see, this money I'm giving to you, don't use it to grow rice. Don't use it to do agriculture. So the money they're giving to you, the government cannot do anything with it. So they now have to look for something that maybe they don't even need and invest that money into it. Why would a foreign government who has your interest be telling you not to invest money into, whereas they know that this country we are faced with food security, but they are telling you don't use it in agriculture. So this is one way they use to control it. And as I've said, whichever government is in charge of GMO or conventional technology has a plan, and the plan is to control seed and is to control food. I'm not too sure I would like to sleep without doing anything for Ghana. Ghana must have their own technology. And Ghana must be able to feed themselves. Because we've been doing it from Kwame Nkrumah time. We had the forest farming system, and that time the forest cover was about 30 times what we have now. I think we have 1.9 million hectares of forest left now. Within 50, 60 years, we've degraded almost everything. And then we could feed the whole country, and then the excess we export. Now today, tell me, what do we export? Because even if we export, we are still using the same money to buy it back from a different system. So what are we really exporting in this country? We are not really doing anything much.
So it seems already we have found ourselves in it already, because what I can tell you is that the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research has finished with testing the first GMO cowpea, which will be introduced into the market next year. So it seems already we are consuming GMO foods already. As you heard our MPs in Parliament some time back say, they have been consuming it for the past 5 years or so. It hasn't had any negative effect on them.
They've been trying to bully the then government to accept the policy into our plan.
But it doesn't look like there's any
but
going
this
back.
time, this government has bought into it. So they are not really ready to listen to anybody.
Okay.
The other time, I heard civil society organizations spoke about it.
Yeah.
I also heard a lot of researchers speaking against GMO.
Yeah.
But today, secretly, it is in the system. That's because somebody has done something and they don't want us to know. In fact, they don't even want us to talk about it. And if you have to go deep into this, you can imagine what is going to happen.
Okay, so you were talking of forest farming. What benefits would forest farming have on the environment, and how can forest farming help us produce sufficient food to feed the population? But before you answer that question, let me announce to our listeners that they can get in touch with us on 0240 229466. 0240 229466. They can send their WhatsApp messages, share their comments, their opinions with us, and we will share it with the rest of the world. This is still Diagnosis on RadioLMOnline.com. My name is Andreas Kamasan. You've been listening to Mr. Kwashie Darkudzi, who is co-founder of Darsfoundation. So, Mr. Darkudzi, what are the benefits of forest farming on the environment? And as I said, how can we produce sufficient food with forest farming to feed the population?
Well, I'm sure we, like myself, you also went through a secondary school.
Yes.
And I remembered those of us who did agriculture in some level were asked to talk about the importance of forests. And we said that forest is a place where it provides you a resource for medicine, research, also income. When they say income, what does that mean? It's not only just the cutting down of the trees. There are people who go into the forest to pick snails, because snails prefer where these green dead leaves are found abound. Then they can easily go there and pick them. Mushrooms easily could grow. You could find a lot of animals. I used to remember in those days, in the 70s, my grandfather would wake up early in the morning around 3-4 a.m., take his gun, and he's gone. In the morning, by 5-6, when we wake up, there's a big antelope or a grass cutter or something on the table, and the women will be busy, working on it and making sure the families are well fed. That is forest. The food were all there, including the protein. Do you know whoever controls protein controls your economy? Yes. Whoever controls protein, your protein, the protein you eat, controls the economy. And the forest is one way of maintaining those proteins which we all need. People eat other kinds of insects that also come from forest. A lot of birds and stuff are also found in there. But I just don't want to go into that era of trying to tell you the importance of this thing. Today, we are faced with a new challenge, which many of us didn't even hear during that time, called climate change. Where there's a lot of industrial pollution, a lot of vehicular emission. There's a lot of things that are going on these days. So you need something to reduce them. Now, if you don't have that forest, then you are talking about the absence or the low level of rainfall being experienced in your community. Which means your land become dead, hard. So imagine if you're in the hinterland, in the middle of where there's no water. Even the water bodies are even drying up. Lake Chad, I heard Lake Chad is almost 30%. So which means it has been drying for too long. Other rivers are disappearing, all because of climate change. You hear in the Arctic area, they tell you that the icebergs are all melting rapidly. And some bears or animals are also migrating to a different part of the world. This is all climate change. We need this forest to be able to cater for the damage that we are doing on this planet. Without this forest, the survival of man is in danger. Forest, again, as I've said, provide you the rain. So the rain gives you the water you need to irrigate your farm, to grow your food. The forest is again provide you the necessary medicine you need something very interesting happened 2 days ago. While doing this farming thing with communities, I've always taken delight in doing a little bit of research into plant medicine. I actually don't do it, but I get people to do it and give me some information as to what there is. When they discover a plant, or if I hear of a plant, or if I see a plant, the team always want to know what that plant is all about. We do a lot of reading. And I realized that there are a lot of plants we have in this continent called Africa that can treat any disease. Any disease. A plant that can treat any disease. I'm sure you've heard of noni. And you know that noni, just drinking the juice, can wipe off some conditions, 80% of conditions in your body.
I'm hearing it for the first time.
You've heard of Zalopia?
Yes, as for Zalopia, I am a very big testimony.
Oh, you got a sample from me?
Yes, I got it from you. And it has worked for me. I've been talking to my colleagues about it. I won't talk about it.
You see, but when I started with this Zalopia thing, a lot of people thought, but this is what we all know.
Yes.
But people have forgotten that no, you don't just look at the information at the surface. Try to go deep. So I tell people that, hey, do you know that we can use this Zalopia to do a lot of things? So now people are getting used to the Zalopia. Then Moringa, I'll tell you a story. I'm sure you've heard of this story in the Bible, when Moses took some people in the forest, into the wilderness, and then they came to a pool of water. They went to drink the water, and then the water was bitter. And they came to Moses and said, Moses, where have you brought us? You brought us to this place. Even the water here is very bitter. Now, water can only be bitter if it is contaminated. Highly polluted. And then Moses also went to God and said, God, they said the water is bitter. How come it is always the people who are facing the problem and not Moses? It's like Moses doesn't eat, he doesn't drink. So he went to God, and God said, you see that tree over there? Take it and stir the water, and your people will be okay. So he broke a branch from the tree and stirred the water, and the water became sweet. Now, Zalopia, Moringa, apart from providing you the basic nutrients, the mineral, the proteins, and